Hello, welcome tonight to the Beacon of Light podcast. We are thrilled to have you here tonight, and we have an awesome guest, Miss Chellie Phillips, and she has an amazing book. She's kind of doing a whole realm here with the kids, so we're going to learn everything that we can about that. First, we're going to jump into this. I'm April Tribe Juke. Welcome to the Beacon of Light podcast. I believe we are all made with light, and light is hope. This podcast brings authors who write stories of hope to all of you. Your journey to be inspired and amplified by these stories starts now. And we're back. Welcome, Chellie. Okay, so you can see running on the ticker underneath that she has an awesome book. She has several books. This is your fourth, is that right?
Yeah, well, actually fifth, if you count that there's two of the kids' books out now. So yeah.
Oh my. Okay, yeah. See, this is why I have her again and again and again, because she just keeps writing books. So all y'all out there, if you keep just writing books, come on back. I'm good with that. Okay. So this is the name of the book. The Case of the Vanishing Birthday Presents. I'm intrigued. Okay, spill it. What's going on here? What's happening?
So, this is going to really date me, but growing up, Encyclopedia Brown and Scooby Doo and Nancy Drew were like some of my favorite things growing up. And so I decided what better way to think about sharing culture with children and families than by having a awesome female detective like Susie that you'll meet in these books be able to solve some of these crazy mysteries, but she does it by bringing her friends into it. And so it's a great way of showing how everyone's talents all work together to be able to do amazing things. And, there's a really special backstory to these books that I can't wait to dive in and share with you and your readers. So
that is awesome. And we're actually talking about the second book in a series. And so tell us a little bit about how this series got started.
So the series got started in kind of a really unique and different way. I had to come home. My dad passed away, and after the funeral, I had peopled out, so to speak, and I needed to get away for a little bit and kind of regroup. And so I escaped upstairs at my mom and dad's house and went to my old room and kind of hid from everybody for a while. And while I was up there, I got started going through a box in my closet that I had found. Apparently, my mom and dad had been just stashing stuff in there over the years whenever they ran across anything. And one of the things I found was a short story that I had written way back in seventh grade. I was part of a gifted class that they had, and my teacher, during that 6 weeks time, we were doing short story writing, fiction writing. And one of our assignments was to write a short story and submit it to the Alabama State Fine Arts Contest. Well, I wrote about Susie and the first book that came out, which is The Case of the Missing Sneakers. And lo and behold, it won second place in the state way back then. So I got a whopping $10 for my efforts way back. And we won't talk about how many, like 1980, whatever that was. But anyway, so my dad had drawn a little caricature of Susie in the margins, and my mom had typed it up using carbons and everything like we used to do in the day with typewriters. And I found all that. And so I packed it up and I took it back home with me after the funeral. And so it sat in my office for a couple of months. And I had a really hard time losing my dad. I was truly a daddy's girl. It was one of those things, is like it would just hit you out of the blue. All of a sudden things would be fine one day, and then the next day you were just kind of like in tears. And my dad loved children. He was very active in the church that I had grown up with in all my life. And one of the things that he had done was started a children's ministry, helped bring them to church, helped make sure that they were, getting all the spiritual love and guidance that they needed. And as I got to thinking about it, I'm like, what better way to honor my dad and to keep his legacy alive than do something with the story that I found? Because I believe God puts things in our paths along the way. And I'm like, I wouldn't have found that and I wouldn't have seen it and it wouldn't have been there if I wasn't supposed to do something with it. And so Susie got a rebirth, so to speak. She got illustrated. Her first book, The Case of the Missing Sneakers, was totally based on that story from 7th grade. It got a little updating, a little editing, a little polishing. And for you teachers out there, I don't have children. So I learned all these things about sight words and all these kind of things that kids needed in their books to be able to use them in school and that kind of thing. And so some of that's been added into there to make it, a really effective young readers kind of book. And so it came to life as the way to honor and support my dad's legacy. And, it was something like, well, okay, one book's great, but I don't think that's going to be enough to keep this ministry going. And so Susie has now turned into a series of 5 books that will come out throughout this year. And the second one launched this week, which is my dad's birthday. And so it was timed special. And the first one came out around my birthday. The second one came out around his. And so, the rest of them will scatter. There's 3 more that are coming this year. And they will scatter throughout the year. And it follows kind of, the next one is the mystery of Camp Whispering Pines. So the kids are all at a summer camp and trying to figure out what spooky thing is happening there. And then they go back to school in the fall, and it's the case of the Vanishing Library books, and then the case of the missing mascot. It's because, football in the South and football all across the country is such a big thing in the fall.
Wow, how fun. I love that start of a book, because all those years ago, you actually started this book. You started the whole thing. What a fun way to rediscover it again and to honor your dad. What a cool thing. So I'm interested. So was Susie's the name way back then? She just brought forth. Oh, wow.
It was the name back. I did not change the characters' names. In fact, it's really funny. If you were in middle school with me, there's actually some names from people that I was in school with. The last names were changed, but the first names remained, just to kind of honor some more of that legacy. Like, we were this group of friends all through school, and it's like they had to be part of this too. So.
Oh, that is so great. It's just so much fun to see how writing and creating stories and where it can take you and how it can support other people. So I'm curious with the first book about the missing sneakers, the age group that you're writing it to. Is it like middle school, late elementary? Who is it kind of geared towards?
So it really works out to be like ages 6 to 11, or it's a great book for parents to read to maybe someone just starting, helping, like starting readers. It is a little chapter book, so they're short chapters. Probably those that are on up in, 2nd, 3rd, 4th grade, they can read it on their own. And it's just one of those, it's a real fun, it's uplifting. Every story has some kind of moral, and it teaches us collaboration and empathy and, just recognizing the value that everybody brings to the table. And, that's something important no matter what age that we are. And I don't think it hurts to start that younger and younger to make sure that people, kids are so less judgmental than the rest of us. And so the more we can reinforce that and the more that we can build it up, the better off that we are.
Agreed. So the focus of this book is something about a birthday. Let me pull it up here again. The case of the vanishing birthday presents or gifts or whatever. So with this, what is kind of the moral or the focus for this?
So this one actually touches on kind of a deep little subject. So I don't, not to be a spoiler, but don't let your kids listen to this if they're going to read the books. But I'll give a little bit away here. is so they're at Emily's birthday party, and the presents go missing while they're doing some of the games and stuff at the park. And the person that steals the presents, she was embarrassed because her dad had lost his job and they weren't able to buy a birthday present for it. So they found the presents, and the great thing is that Susie sits down with her, and she's got some markers and paper and notebook in her backpack, and so they create a card special for Emily and her birthday just from her friend. And so what it shows is, like that whole being empathetic and never knowing what's going on in someone's life, and how we can really help people along just by listening to their stories and making them feel that they're important no matter what's happening, and that it's not about the cost of the gift. It's about being present, and it's about you celebrating what's happening in someone else's life.
Ah, wonderfully said. That's really interesting to cover a topic like empathy, because it's really something that we know. When someone has empathy for us, we know it. And we know it when they don't, when it's fake. We know it. And then to practice that, though, to offer and give it to someone else, it takes practice. It is a skill. It's a skill, because I know several people out there in the business world and other kinds of self-help worlds talk about, well, we're probably really good with sympathy, and there's nothing wrong with the start of that, but it's not, I don't want to say it's not the same, because we know it's not. What I'm saying is it is a skill to learn, because listening is part of this, not comparing. For example, well, at least you got invited to the birthday. If anything starts with at least, it's not empathy. So it's a really good skill to learn and to practice. And as the youth can practice that, what a great opportunity to just improve that and become better adults. And that's going to help out the world. So
Yeah.
wonderful. Looks like you wanted to jump in there.
Yeah, the thing is, like, you might think losing, a parent losing their job is a heavy topic for a 7, 8, 9 year old, but it's real world. It happens. I've seen it in my own friend group and everything. Like they, like, and kids are very resilient when they know what's going on and how to deal with it. And so, I didn't really shy away from that as a topic in this, because I think it's important that kids learn early on that not everything is going to go the way we want it, but how we respond to it and how we deal with it is so important.
Yeah, the skills, right? I think sometimes we want to shield instead of give them skills. Okay, you can quote me on that. Because that idea of we know that there'll be pain and challenges, and sometimes big pain, sometimes just the kind of everyday, like, this is awful. And that's fine. That's part of the life. So the skill work is to learn, yep, it is. Yep, you're right. Now what are we going to do about this? Because if we just sit so it's important to acknowledge, yeah, this is happening. It's awful. You feel like this. Understood. We're with it. Give it the quote, the 10 minutes. Okay, now what are we going to do with, I've got some skills here to give you, to help you practice with. And this is done through example. It's done sometimes directly. And every which way we can accept it is fine. There's not one right way, because some people can model forever and the poor kid's still missing the boat. Other times it's so direct. It's like, can I just watch your words match your actions, please? So, and that's fine. There's a variety. And so it's fun to see it within a book and to see how the peers, right? How they're responding, because sometimes I would say probably a good majority of us, if peers are the support and the help, we're pretty responsive to that. I know there's some outliers, but overall, we are pretty responsive. So let's get that practice into those 7, 8, 9-year-olds. And I think it is such a great opportunity to just enjoy and to have some fun with it. I'm going to put the thing right up here again. Do you have a copy with you out there where you're at?
No, I don't at the moment.
Okay, no problem.
That in, so
No problem, no problem. But I love this idea, and you said that they're illustrated too. Is that right?
yes, very colorful. Susie is a redhead in the book, so she's got a little bit of spunk about her. Like we went with that whole traditional kind of character. She uses a hand-me-down iPhone that was her brother's iPhone to take her pictures when she's solving her mysteries and everything. And she's always got her trusty notebook with her, and like all of those things you'll find throughout the book. And each of the characters are representative of different people. We got tall and skinny and short and round and all kinds of colors and ethnicities represented in there. So like, kids will see people they're used to seeing in their daily lives throughout the books.
That's great. We want it to match the reality of life, and just know that the point, right? There's a mystery to solve. And so I'm going to back it up here. As a writer, tell me what kind of preparation that you do to, I don't know, do you outline, do you create like, this is what's going to happen? Do you work backwards? Tell me about the process that you use in creating these mysteries.
So, it's really funny is like, starting back from 7th grade, I can't tell you what my process was back then when I created the first story, but I can tell you going forward is that, each one focuses on a different main character. Susie is always as the main, the main driving force in it, but someone else is going to have a pivotal role in there. And so kind of deciding, okay, what is the theme going to be? And then what kind of characters do I need to reinforce that? And then figuring out, okay, what is my mystery that we're going to solve? Because then you kind of work backwards from there. Like, okay, if this is the problem and we're trying to get to this solution, is what all can I throw in the way that they're going to have to work through and find a way to, master the puzzle, to be able to come to the ultimate conclusion that we want them to. And so, and then, just what was really, the fun part was like coming up with all their personalities. So like Greg in this book, he's very mischievous, and everyone thought he's kind of the prankster. And so everybody thought he's the one that had taken the presents to begin with, because, like, of course, it's going to be the jokester in the group that's going to mess up the birthday party, and he was totally innocent. And so, he was kind of like, no, it's not me, and so his personality kind of comes through. And then later on, in like the case of the Vanishing Library books, that's another one that's coming later in the year. We have a very artsy character, like they've got paint spattered on their clothes because they're very creative and artsy. And then we have for the missing mascot, which is about a football player and the missing football mascot. And so you have that kind of athletic jock kind of person that's in there that people think he was involved in taking the mascot because, that's just his personality around school and that kind of thing. And so it's really fun to kind of build those characters. You don't think about it. It was actually more involved building the characters in these books because you want to be able to keep a kid's attention and you want them to be able to see the person like you see it in your head. And so the fun part of that really came in working with the illustrator, trying to describe from my head what this character looked like so that it matched their personality and the different traits that I wanted them to exude in the book, so that somebody miles away who didn't know me and my friends growing up, didn't know, in fact, was much younger than I was and had never heard of Encyclopedia Brown and different things like that. So trying to be able to get the picture out of my head in verbal form so that somebody could recognize what I'm trying to say. So creating all the characters first was really the big challenge. And then working them into the stories became the easier part once they were all defined as to who they were. And then writing a mystery is like any writing a mystery, is that you plot it out, you find the steps that you're going to go through to solve it, you throw obstacles in the way so that people have to work around them, and then poof, they finally find the solution to the problem.
That is so much fun as a writer because you're just creating, there's no limit. It's just how you're going to put things together. And if you've started down a road with different obstacles, the jump to get back to where we need to be better have some good steps or really great zip line. Something's gonna happen that we all go, oh, right. And I love what I think is so fun is we're like, it's this person. I know it. I know it. Check, check, check. What? That's so much fun. Those are fun. My sons sometimes are like, why are you always watching mystery things? I'm like, because I like to fall into the character and like I'm the one that's like, oh, it's that one. And my husband's like, it's that one. And he's mostly right all the time. I'm like, no, I must have bought into all of the obstacles, but it's so much fun. That for me is fun. And I never try to like, I don't know, triple examine everything. It's like a Christmas gift. I never look for gifts or try to peek under. I'm like, nope, I want the surprise. So that's an enjoyable part for myself. There's my selfish plug on that. So I'm excited to pick up some of these books and share them with my kids and see what they think about that, and to kind of touch back with that moral, right? The moral of the story, because if we can feel and see that, we know that the empathy is working, all of the kinds of cultural things we want to have and the skills to practice. I think there's lots of good things in the world today, and maybe just a few little tweaks that are missing are just the skill time to practice. So let's give it that opportunity. We don't want to have this gloom and doom all around us. No, you're right. We might have some differences today versus in the 1980s. It was a wild place, man. But the whole point is that the skills can still be learned, and it's awesome. It is a great thing. Very, very cool. All right. Well, Miss Chellie, tell us anything else that you want us to know about this book. Oh, one thing, you guys should have all read the blog from yesterday on Monday because it was posted yesterday. So you guys should read all through that. She has all of her amazing information there, and you can see kind of how the stories evolve and how she's honoring her dad. Many things that we've just talked about tonight. So, Chellie, tell us a little bit before we close it up, something you want to leave the audience with.
You know, what I'd really say is I hope these books are something that families can enjoy together. I mean, I was a reader growing up, but one of my biggest memories is my dad read to us every single night. I mean, even when I was in high school, like if I were home and it was bedtime, we were going to curl up on his bed and it was going to either be a devotional or it might be a book. It might be whatever. It could be some of all of it. But I just remember those as such special times. And then even after I got married and moved away, you know, my dad would still bring, when he would come visit me, he'd bring books that he read that he thought I would enjoy. And so that love of reading, I think, is something that's so important for parents to pass on to their children. You know, I'm a little biased as a writer and as a reader myself, but it's, you know, it's something that, you know, it gets them off the screen. It engages their minds. It makes them start building their own worlds based on what they're reading and seeing and hearing in their, you know, in their minds. And it's just something fun that you can do as a parent and a child. And it creates those memories that are going to stay with you forever. And, you know, I'll say after losing my dad and then my mom a few short months after that, that it, you know, you realize really quickly as an adult that you're not guaranteed forever with anybody that's special in your life. And those memories are what gets you through that. Those fun times, those happy times, those things that you think about. And so it's just so important to me now that people take these opportunities and take the time and really just engage and, that one-on-one time with a child, with a parent, with their siblings all together, and just build those moments that people can pull back from forever and think about, oh, it's just so fun and it was so amazing, and just think about all these things that we did.
I love that. Thank you so much for emphasizing that. It's summertime. What a perfect time to grab these books, start reading. In fact, we're going to be heading out on a trip pretty soon. And so we're thinking about, well, what is the book we're going to be reading over this time? And since we've got a long travel trip, we are going to plug in and listen to this audio book. But I'm sure that as we get going through this, stopping, asking questions, because the concept of just leaving the world and jumping into the words that build the pictures is so thrilling. So, Chellie, thank you so much for sharing this legacy of your dad, sharing this really personal part of when saying goodbye to parents. It's not goodbye forever, because these are pieces that today you now can share with others, and they can feel a sense of that love and enjoyment and having fun. Let's have some fun today, right? I think it's a good thing. So thank you so much for all of that. Now, where can we grab these books?
So Amazon, of course, they have them there. You can get them, or you can go to my website and you can order straight through my website, which is chellephillips.com. And, I'll say, if you read them with your kids, and you love them, drop me a note, let me know, share a picture on social media, tag me in it. To me, that's the funnest thing. I had some friends of mine beta read with their kids. And it was so funny. If you look on my social media right now during this week that we're launching that book, you can actually see one of the children that are reading the book, and she thinks the character is patterned around her because it looks like her, and she's interested in sports and athletics and all these other kind of things. And so the mom so graciously recorded her while she was talking about why she just knew that this book was written about her instead, and shared it with me. And so, that's so fun for me, is, getting to see the reactions and the responses, and knowing that it connected. And so I just urge you that if you do it, share it with me. I would love to celebrate the fact that you're sharing these with your kids and having a great time. And, I guess I can say it's kid approved, because, like, she gave me 5 stars at the end, said, hey, this is 5-star approved. So
That is awesome. That is the best, because it's that audience that is embracing it. Perfect. Thank you, Chellie, and best of luck in this 3rd, 4th, 5th book launch. Keep writing, keep that legacy alive. We'll see you all again next week on another episode of the Beacon of Light podcast. Thank you again, everybody. Good night.